Verstappen passed. I know, exactly. And it was so hype. Like, the hype for it was just so unreal. What is going on, guys? It's JJ here, back with yet another video. Yes, it is still very early in the morning recording these, the day after the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I think you guys should have already seen my first reaction to the Champions League draw. The Champions League redraw was a funny one. And then, obviously, the original race. But I did not realize the controversy in it because I'm still very, very new to F1. I'm still very new to the sport in general. So we're gonna take a look at it. Was Lewis Hamilton robbed? I don't think, hear me out before, actually I'll save my opinion to the end of the video, I think. I'll save my opinion to the end of the video because I still, like I said, very new to F1, very new to the sport in general. I feel like I am slowly getting the understanding as to the rules, as to the sort of standards, as to just like the little things here and there that happen in the sport. And then the Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton sort of battle between the two at Abu Dhabi, I think without a doubt, everyone can say though, was fantastic TV. It was like you could not like write it better as like a TV drama. But in sport, like there's nothing like to it. Like they made it the best that they possibly could. And I kind of thank the racers, like I guess the race director would be in charge of the safety car. I thank them for that. Because it made it so interesting. Made that last lap so worth it, which we're taking a look at the last lap and the fans at Abu Dhabi Grand Prix later today as well. But first, we're gonna take a look at Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton, the Abu Dhabi controversy explained, and let me know your guys' thoughts on it as well down in the comments below. Let's get into the video. As well, guys, you can find the original video on the race down in the description below.
Formula One has been so crazy in 2021 that a post-race protest was perhaps just as inevitable as the championship being decided with a final lap pass for the win in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Just listen to that. I mean, how amazing is it that that sentence is...
Verstappen passed. I know, exactly. And it was so hype. Like, the hype for it was just so unreal. Like, how could you guys not like, I feel like if you were a fan of Lewis Hamilton and a fan of England racing in general, you'd be very mad about it. But it was just so damn entertaining from like a neutral standpoint. I had a blast. Like, I'm not sorry about that. Like, it's just great.
It's even real. Wow. After Max Verstappen won his first World Championship in the most dramatic style possible, Mercedes lodged 2 protests based on the shenanigans that went on around the late race safety car period that proved so decisive. After such a thrilling season, it seemed a shame that the results should be placed into doubt so more arguing could take place behind the scenes. But did Mercedes have a point, and was it right to lodge the protests? Once the track was cleared following Nicholas Latifi's late race crash that brought out the safety car, Mercedes was furious about the confusion over the lapped cars that were between Hamilton and Verstappen being allowed to unlap themselves ahead of the single lap showdown for the title. Race control initially declared the lapped cars would not be allowed to pass the leader, which had incensed Red Bull because it believed it protected Hamilton.
Oh my God.
Who was on
I didn't realize they wait.
While Verstappen had pitted for fresh. Had incensed Red Bull because it believed it protected Hamilton, who was on old hard tyres, while Verstappen had pitted for fresh softs. But then race director Michael Massey changed his mind, ordering only the cars that were between Hamilton and Verstappen to get themselves out of the way. Mercedes felt this judgment.
Bro. That has to be illegal. There's no way you remove just so like they let the lapped cars overtake the safety car, but only the ones in between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. Because I remember reading a comment that said it's either you have to let all the lapped cars go or none of the lapped cars go. If that's a rule, if I'm not mistaken, if that's a rule. But if that's the case, and they just let only the ones in between Lewis and Max leave, then who's to say Max would have passed Lewis on the last lap? What if they would have been there and stayed? I kind of see their point.
Was not allowed for in the regulations. It believed the rules specified all lapped cars should have been ordered to unlap themselves, so therefore the correct procedures had not been followed. More importantly, it also contested that the sporting regulations state that once the pits at the end of the final lap, leaving Hamilton clear to take the checkered flag and win the championship. Because of this, Mercedes requested that the race results be taken from the end of the penultimate lap when Hamilton was still in front.
Oh, okay.
Mercedes also lodged a separate protest against Verstappen.
That's the part where I lose my push for Mercedes to actually win their protest, is because they're saying it shouldn't have been the actual last lap. It should have just been the lap before the last lap. Like that, I understand their point fully now. But I feel like they knew they were at a tactical disadvantage before the safety car even left. Like, Verstappen pitted at the perfect time, but also because he pitted, there should have been probably cars in between him and Lewis. Like, it's a nice
driving under safety car conditions
like.
When he pulled alongside Hamilton just before the restart and briefly appeared to edge ahead of the Mercedes. Unsurprisingly, Red Bull saw it differently. Team boss Christian Horner said the decision over the lapped cars was absolutely the right call, accepting that the Red Bull pit wall was screaming at Massey to get them out of the way so Hamilton and Verstappen could battle it out to the end. Horner added that it was unheard of to leave the lapped cars in the way, so he praised race control's decision under difficult circumstances,
we did deserve that
with
1v1
both
race.
title-chasing teams shouting at them from the pit wall. And we'll come back to that particular scenario in a little bit. Unsurprisingly, Red Bull didn't agree with the steward's decision not to investigate the lap 1 incident between Hamilton and Verstappen. Horner said he couldn't understand why Hamilton wasn't asked to hand the position back, but he summed things up perfectly when he said, "But that's all history now." Never a truer word, Christian. Never a truer word. Next up, we're going to explain why the protests failed, but very quickly, if you're not yet subscribed to our channel but you're enjoying what you're seeing here, feel free to hit that button anytime to join our ever-expanding crew of motorsport fans.
Oh, okay. I thought that was it. Why the protests failed? They already
The first verdict we received from the stewards was the straightforward one.
So we're actually going to get answers? I'm excited.
Accepted that Verstappen did end up ahead of Hamilton before the restart for a very short period of time, but they were satisfied.
Having considered the various statements made by the parties, stewards determined that the car 33 did at one stage for a very short period of time move slightly in front of car 44, at a time when both cars were accelerating and braking. And it was not in front of the safety car. They have to pay to protest these
got
things?
himself back behind Hamilton as quickly as he could at a time when both cars were accelerating and braking in anticipation of the restart. But let's get on to the more meaty decision. The stewards accepted that the rules around letting lapped cars through before a restart were not applied fully, but they added that this was overridden by the next article of the sporting regulations. Article 48.13 states that once the message "safety car in this lap" has been displayed, it is mandatory to withdraw the safety car at the end of that lap. Elsewhere in the sporting regs, Article 15.3 gives the race director overriding authority over the use of the safety car, which the stewards said included its deployment and withdrawal. As for Mercedes' request
essentially, the race director gets to decide when the safety car is out and when that final lap begins, which he did.
Based the results on the positions at the end of the penultimate lap, the stewards deemed it was not appropriate to take a measure that would shorten the race distance retrospectively. As well as Mercedes and Red Bull submitting evidence in the hearing, race director Michael Massey made his own contributions. He said that the purpose of Article 48.12 regarding lapped cars was to remove any cars that would interfere with the racing between the leaders. Red Bull also suggested that the wording regarding any lapped cars does not mean all lapped cars, but that dictionary debate was not referenced by the stewards in their decision.
That kind of kills everyone's thing, doesn't it? I feel like those are the only arguments I've actually seen, is that it's either all lapped cars or none lapped car or no lapped cars. But it turns out the race director can actually decide how many lapped cars go past. Like,
He also
there's not a
pointed out that it had
definitive
long
amount
been
that he
agreed
has to
by
do.
all teams that where possible, it was highly desirable for the race to end under racing conditions rather than behind a safety car, meaning the actions he took to accelerate the restart process were justified. So effectively, while
guys,
one
I
rule around the
kinda
safety
agree
car
with the racing
process
director.
wasn't followed to the letter, the stewards felt that the actions of Massey were covered well enough by other areas of the sporting regulations.
I don't think it overshadows anything. I think it's amazing.
While this all makes for a great soap opera, and
soap
Netflix
opera,
is
for
surely
sure.
rubbing its hands together for the 4th season of Drive to Survive, ultimately it was a shame for the championship celebrations to have the shine taken off them by the protests and hearings that went on post-race. And there could still be more to come, with Mercedes announcing its intention to appeal the second of the verdicts. That gives it a 72-hour window to decide if it wants to go through with taking the matter to the FIA International Court of Appeal. As we said at the beginning of this video, it seemed almost inevitable that this most dramatic and fractious of championship battles would end up with drama off track and on it. Nobody wanted to see Mercedes and Red Bull personnel walking back and forth to the stewards' offices after the race. Even Verstappen rolled his eyes and said the protests summed up the season.
Yeah.
Mercedes even brought its own legal counsel with it to Abu Dhabi in anticipation of such a scenario, although we understand that was predominantly in case of a controversial incident between the two drivers in battle, rather than the FIA potentially making a mess of its own procedures. That strategy didn't sit well with Red Bull, with Horner saying on Sunday night it was a shame Mercedes had taken that step, before adding that Red Bull doesn't go racing with barristers. He also called Mercedes' original protests a little bit desperate. And given how
I
brilliant
love that
Verstappen and
the Red
Hamilton
Bull manager is just trolling them at this rate. Like, he's just like, you guys are desperate to get anything on
have
us.
been this season,
I
for
love
their
that.
unforgettable
That's
battle
a
to
grade
end
A
under a
troll right
cloud
there.
of protests and potentially an appeal doesn't seem right. This year we've had better insight than ever before into what goes on behind the scenes between the teams and the FIA during races, with the addition to the TV broadcasts of the radio chatter between the teams and Michael Massey. During that final safety car period, those communications descended into farce, with both team bosses shrieking at Massey anytime they felt he was making a decision that went against them. Yes, the stakes will never be higher again at the end of a safety car period for as long as F1 exists, but does that excuse grown men howling down a radio channel to the person trying to call the shots? In the end, it escalated to a level of shouting and whining that was more suited to a bunch of footballers surrounding a referee rather than the crucial, decisive moments of a Formula One season.
It's kind of a good comparison. It's kind of a good
The
comparison.
question
But
is
decided
it
Formula
right
One.
for teams to have that much access to the race director in the heat of the moment for the purposes of lobbying, or should they be told to back off and let him get on with his job? Everybody wanted this epic championship fight to be decided on the track. And from a neutral's perspective, it doesn't get much better than a last lap pass.
Thank you. I'm glad they said that. I'm glad they said that. The end of the race was the best part. People don't like it. Like, they want Max to have a disadvantage, or for Max to have an advantage, or for Lewis to... They were neck and neck. It literally came down to tactical decisions with the cars. Like, I feel like if Lewis Hamilton actually has fresher tires, he holds off Max Verstappen no matter what. Or, like what happened, he doesn't, and then Max just crashes into him anyway, and it's just a whole new controversy. Like, it's like, come on now, like, it could have been
pass for
anything.
the race win and the championship. Unfortunately, fears or expectations that the destiny of the championship would then play out in the
People keep
stewards'
forgetting the
room
Perez
also
stuff too.
came
The
to
Perez stuff was
pass.
sick.
But when the dust finally settles on the madness of F1 2021, how will you remember this incredible season? Will the lasting memory be of two world-class talents pushing each other to ever-increasing heights, or will the legal wranglings and off-track bitterness between the teams forever dampen your view of a thrilling championship? Let us know what you think in the comments. Give this video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed our rundown.
I did enjoy the video. I'm happy. I'm happy for Max. I think he deserves his first world championship. Lewis is going to still be around for a very long time. They're going to continue this battle. This is just chapter 1. It's like Netflix is probably, like, besides the actual Drive, they could make a movie out of this. It's great TV. It's great film. But at the same time, I can understand. Like, I fully understand where Lewis Hamilton fans or F1 faithfuls kind of feel like Lewis got cheated. Because he kind of did. Like, he got cheated by the litigation and the wording of the rules, because the race director in that moment got to decide what he wanted, and guess what? It's probably going to stand unless they actually go back and unrule that in court. But then again, even if they did that, they don't know if Max would have caught up to him still. Max won with a bit of a lead, like a second and a half. He still could have caught up. Like, even if they didn't move the cars, who's to say one of those cars, one of the lapped cars then, also doesn't crash into Lewis Hamilton? No, it doesn't crash into Max. It's like the Marvel multiverse. There's a billion possibilities as to what could have happened. But what has happened. So let me know your thoughts on it down in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Though this has actually been a really, really fun video. I'm happy to actually have watched this. And maybe some people who are new to F1 like me, or some people who are Lewis Hamilton fans or Max Verstappen fans, need just that little bit of a confirmation bias more as to why they are correct or why they are wrong. Hopefully this cleared it up for you. But let me know your thoughts on it still down in the comments below. Please, if we're going to have an argument in the comments, keep it civil. Thank you guys so much for watching though. Peace.